There are many things about the African continent and the world that seem shocking but are factual. It turns out there is no bridge connecting the continents of Europe and Africa. The main physical structure that links these two land masses is the Strait of Gibraltar, between southernmost Spain and northwesternmost Africa. The Strait of Gibraltar is 58 kilometers long and 13 kilometers wide and averages 1,200 feet in depth. There have been plans to build a bridge over the Strait of Gibraltar, the feature that separates the continents of Europe and Africa, but this plan has not yet materialized. The bridge between Africa and Europe was first planned in 1979, but never saw the light of day. But many people believe that a diplomatic push between the two continents could be the key to its construction. A memorandum was signed that same year between Kings Hassan II of Morocco and Juan Carlos I of Spain, during which the will to collaborate in essential sectors was expressed. According to several sources, a Gibraltar crossing has been technically possible for nearly a century, but it will be the most expensive intercontinental water crossing ever. From the depths of the Mediterranean Sea to the Strait of Gibraltar, this informative video will also unveil how geography has played a major role in keeping Europeans away from enjoying the beauty of Africa and the joy its communities offer. The reasons for the absence of a bridge to link Europe and Africa are varied, but we shall be examining just a few, which are very evident. Before we continue, please subscribe to the New Tourist channel and like this video if you already find it interesting. It is a way to support our channel and encourage future productions like this. The Strait of Gibraltar currently is, and always has been, one of the most important shipping channels in the world. It is the only natural water body that connects the Mediterranean Sea to the Atlantic Ocean. This direct linkage creates a certain unique flow and wave pattern. It is large, hence big ships can easily navigate through it. In fact, over 100,000 ships pass through the Strait of Gibraltar on a yearly basis. Approximately 300 ships cross the strait every day, about one ship every 5 minutes. Due to special currents, there is a good supply of food here, which even attracts whales and dolphins. The Strait of Gibraltar is the only natural link between the Atlantic Ocean and the Mediterranean Sea, and is one of the busiest waterways in the world. The narrowest point of the Strait of Gibraltar is just off Tarifa, from the southernmost city of mainland Europe, which is only 14 kilometers to Mount Jebel Musa in Morocco. That is why many migratory birds cross the strait here on their routes between Europe and Africa. Some people claim that once the Mediterranean Sea was a lake, both in the east and in the west, there was no way out of it. The movement of tectonic plates and other processes changed the face of the continents, and that is why, for unknown reasons, a strait between Europe and Africa arose. There are some obstacles that still make it impossible for a bridge to be constructed to link Europe and Africa. The idea to connect the African and European coasts was the dream of the middle 19th century. But unfortunately, there were not many resources for this adventure. But is this still a problem today? The idea to build a bridge with a length of 13 kilometers is trivial and does not seem something undoable for modern engineers. For example, the Danying-Kunshan Grand Bridge in China is 164 kilometers long. Another difficulty lies in the fact that the strait is too deep. In a place where the distance between the rocks is minimal, the seabed sinks to a kilometer depth. The depth of the Strait of Gibraltar ranges from 300 to 900 meters. The minimum depth is almost the height of the Eiffel Tower, 330 meters. Another difficulty in bridging Europe and Africa on the Strait of Gibraltar is the multi-directional currents, which seriously complicates the work of engineers and hydraulic engineers to calculate the resistance of the structure. Even if the engineers can cope with this, then the supports underwater won't be stable, and the 300 meters depth are still inevitable difficulties. Look at the Padma Bridge under construction in the Republic of Bangladesh. We are talking about columns with a height of 122 meters on 30-meter pliers. It is the world's deepest bridge and 122nd longest in the world. It has long-standing support and is structurally considered incredibly complex, and the project is ambitious, on the verge of impracticability. So, what can we say about the prospects and realities of building a bridge in an open ocean on supports of almost a kilometer, or even without much talking, 300 meters long? Now, a bridge is not the only solution to connect two places separated by a water body. There's also an option for an underwater highway to connect Europe and Africa. A tunnel, which we can use for comparison, is the famous European Tunnel, which pierced under the English Channel, connecting France and Great Britain. This tunnel exceeds 51 kilometers, but unfortunately, tunnels are less reliable and cost more. You're still watching because you find this video interesting. Like the video, share it, subscribe to The New Tourist, and turn on notifications so that you get alerts when we upload educative videos like this one. Since the Azores-Gibraltar transform fault runs between Europe and Africa, along the ocean floor in this very place, construction at the current technological level of development is again impossible. Some experts often say the Eurasian and African plates might move if a tunnel is constructed there. An illustration of this theory is the 1755 earthquake disaster near the coast of the Atlantic, which destroyed the Portuguese capital, Lisbon. Another point worth noting is the difficulties with incredibly hard rocks. Once engineers in Spain had received an order for the design of a tunnel, they were forced to abandon the order as the floor of the seabed was too hard and intractable. According to geologists, the Strait of Gibraltar is located in a tectonically active area, and if a bridge should be constructed on it, then it should be that which can withstand any possible catastrophe. If a tunnel project is implemented at Gibraltar, its total length will be 39 kilometers, of which 28.5 will be laid underwater. The slope of the tunnel will be 3 degrees, and the maximum depth of laying will slightly or may not attain 500 meters. On January 2021, it was reported that the United Kingdom and Morocco would discuss building the crossing between Gibraltar and Tangiers. As of 2023, the completion of Morocco's first national high-speed rail line from Casablanca to Tangiers has led to growing interest in a tunnel that will connect the line to Spain's own high-speed network. It is believed that if all things should be done the way they are supposed to, then the construction of a tunnel linking Europe and Africa at the Strait of Gibraltar will cost not less than $20 billion and will engage thousands of workers for a 10-year period. What is sure is that such a project will obviously have potential investors, looking at the economic perspectives it can bring forth. Many institutions were willing to finance this project in the past, such as the World Bank, the European Investment Bank, the African Development Fund, and many others. The United Kingdom claims 3 nautical miles, that is 5.6 kilometers of water around Gibraltar on the northern side of the strait, putting part of it inside British territorial waters. The increased economic activities of regional players will create a positive impact on the Gibraltar Peninsula, which is in the possession of Great Britain, and the Spaniards and Portuguese will fall a little. Most of the ships traveling through the Strait of Gibraltar are traveling from the Western Hemisphere to deliver goods to the Middle East, Africa, and Europe. However, there is also a lot of traffic that uses the strait to travel even farther east to Asia and China as well. At the same time, fleets of ships travel west to bring goods from the Middle East, Africa, and Eastern Europe to Western Europe and the Americas. Spain and Morocco are rapidly increasing their number of ports and capacities along the coast. Europe and Africa could be more connected, and trade could be expanded and developed more effectively, with a bridge linking both continents. Consequently, the European market will have easier access to African markets by entering through Morocco. The political situation between Spain and Morocco has also been a hindrance to the construction of a bridge linking Europe and Africa. They have often had disagreements on various forms of consensus. A lot of concerns are laid on who will fund the project and how it will benefit each nation. The over $20 billion needed to construct a bridge on the Strait of Gibraltar will need to be split between the Spanish and Moroccan governments or funded by outside sources. If a bridge crossing the strait brought in massive amounts of revenue, other than tourism and movement of goods and people, that will be one thing. But this is not the case. There are alternate routes across the Mediterranean, either by ferry, which carries about 5 million passengers annually, plain or private boats. The shipping lines through the Strait of Gibraltar provide enormous amounts of revenue from the 100,000 ships that pass through it. But a bridge might hinder that, rather than help both Spain and Morocco bring in more revenue. For instance, the Øresund Bridge, which connects Denmark and Sweden, cost roughly $4 billion to construct, but it is not generating the same level of economic benefits as initially expected. Construction projects like this one, which take a lot of time and money, usually end up being abandoned, and that might not be different for the Strait of Gibraltar. Another problem to consider is that any bridge to be constructed on this strait should not disrupt shipping lines, else there will be more harm than good, according to some people. The bottom line is that building a bridge that can link Europe and Africa could be very dangerous due to the presence of unstable plate channels. The economic impact, due to potentially less of high cargo ships that will pass under a possible bridge on the Strait of Gibraltar, and the risk of tectonic action that might collapse the bridge, are two main factors retarding the construction of a bridge linking Europe and Africa. The Strait of Gibraltar is abysmal, and there are sea currents, winds, tides, and waves that can complicate its construction in every way. But the main concern is that the bridge will be located on top of the Azores-Gibraltar Transform Fault, which is one of the seemingly active Eurasian tectonic regions. The debate on this intercontinental bridge remains very recurrent on various agendas, and it's of great concern. Drop your thoughts about this video and the issue of building a bridge between Europe and Africa in the comment section below. Share this video with your friends and family too. Do not leave without subscribing to the New Tourist channel, and stay tuned for more engaging and exciting videos. Thanks for watching, and see you in our next video.